Okay, so I'm just going to wait about another minute or so. So make sure that everyone's able to log in and see what's going on. Hopefully you can hear what I'm saying. If you can't hear me, just write something on the dialog box. I should be able to see it. Awesome. Thank you, Tammy. All right. So what you'll need today for this sequence, it's going to be yin yoga for the neck and shoulders. And I don't know, I think we all can really use these kind of stretches today and maybe all these next weeks ahead. All you really need is a place to practice. You might want to have a pillow to sit on. You can use a yoga blanket or any other yoga props you like. And if sitting on the floor doesn't work for you, just sit up on a chair. So, this is completely kind of a professional video, just so you know. This is like my third try at a live stream. So any feedback on how things sound or how things look, just let me know afterwards. And it's kind of fun, but also it's really difficult to be without all you in person. I miss teaching live yoga classes. I miss teaching you all in person. And I just hope that you're all able to take care of yourself and do what you need to stay healthy. Okay, so let's begin by closing the eyes. Focus on your breath. And you can keep the jaw muscle relaxed by separating your back teeth. The lips stay together, and the very tip of your tongue can rest on the roof of the mouth, the hard palate. We'll start with a very short meditation. Some people like to keep their eyes open. Others might want to look down towards the floor in front of them to kind of find a focal point to gaze to help with their concentration. But there's no real way to do this wrong. You just want to be able to sit without having to do anything, without having to really go anywhere with your thoughts, just to sit and to breathe. Usually after about a minute or so, it begins to feel like you're able to finally get settled. The stomach muscles relax. And the breath becomes slower and deeper. And it's important to note that we don't need to force ourselves to strain or to push to be here. Just to invite a sense of gathering inwards, a sense of rooting into the earth, a sense of connection to things which are higher, like the sky, the sun, the heavens. Okay. So eyes now can blink open. I'm going to begin to slowly move the head. And this is a real easy movement. You just want to turn your head and look past the right shoulder. So I'll be mirroring you. And coming back to center with your head and turning your head to look past the other shoulder. This is the kind of movement that you would take when you're backing up in a car. Before they had all those backup cameras in the cars. This easy movement, slow it down a little bit more. You can notice there's oftentimes tightness more in one side of the neck than the other. And that's okay. You just want to welcome that kind of awareness to the difference in sides the difference in sensations. Eventually we'll come back to center and take the arms in out to the side, turn the palms face up, raise the arms upwards. Now, if the arms don't go all the way up, that's okay. Just go to the extent that you can. You can then begin to do a little bit of a ladder climb movement. Just reaching one arm up, stretching that side waistline, reaching the other arm up. Nice and easy. Just kind of feeling what the shoulders are doing today, how they're doing today. Any restrictions or tightness in the shoulders. What's going on here in your spine, in the waistline. Give yourself a little more clear understanding what's going on and areas that feel sensation. Good. And let's just let the arms float back and down. And you release your arms down, you kind of let the arms feel heavy, and there's a sort of a settling and letting go sensation. Sometimes it feels like there's a wave of releasing. Even though the effort wasn't a lot, there's that sort of sense of letting go that happens when we release the movement. And those moments of pausing when you're noticing the waves are releasing, it's just good to kind of let the body be still, not have to continue to move around, just kind of letting things relax. Okay. The neck and shoulder area is one of these areas that tends to be so tight that if we try to force the area to release, sometimes we actually do the reverse and we get tighter there. So I always think about how can you kind of ease into that area of the body without having to push? How can you kind of get into those nooks and crannies? So kind of a moderate sensation is what we're looking for, or even a really mild sensation of the stretching or lengthening sensation. If you feel like you're straining or if you feel like there's pain, you certainly don't want to go there. You just kind of want to back off and maybe even skip or avoid movements which cause those kind of difficulties. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the neck area, and I'm going to take I'm going to, again, mirroring, you take your left hand to the right side of your neck and just kind of let your head drop to your left. And you can just kind of use your fingers to very gently squeeze the muscle. Now, it should be like a kind of a rope-like muscle from the back of the neck to the kind of the top of the shoulder area. You just want to identify that kind of mound of that muscle. And basically what you're going to do then is to kind of hook your hand over that muscle and kind of pull the muscle forward and down. So it's a kind of that kind of movement, pulling forward and down. So if it's kind of like if you are a baker and you're kneading dough, right? You kind of pull the dough forward and then press down. And you want to kind of explore the side of the neck, so you can go towards where the arm, the shoulder is, and then go kind of more towards the base of your neck. You can also go to the back of your neck on that right side. Just kind of squeezing. You can also kind of press your fingers into that mound of the muscle like you're playing the piano. Might decide to go a little further back or come a little further forward. Now, sometimes his arm gets pretty tired, so you can also support that elbow with your other hand. Just kind of continue to sort of explore. Now, there might be one spot that you find, it could feel like a knot or a little kind of tight place of a little more tightness. And if you do find that spot, it's really great to kind of pause there and just kind of very gently work that area. Okay, so let's let that go. Let's come back to a still point for a moment, feeling the waves releasing. Noticing the movement of your breathing. You might even want to close your eyes and just kind of feel the difference with your eyes closed. Self-care is often about pausing and listening. Feeling and kind of immersing yourself in the felt sensations of the body. Okay. So let's now move to the mirror side. So this time you'll massage the left side of the neck. And again, you can support the elbow with the other hand, tilting your head to your right. Massaging the shoulder joint. Exploring the amount of the muscle. Again, using your technique like kneading dough or playing the piano. Working towards the shoulder. Working the back of your neck to the base of the skull even. Notice and identifying areas that are in need of hydration. Sometimes the fascia is so tight and dry that the hydration just takes a little bit of assistance like this. We want to kind of invite more blood flow into that area. We want to begin to hydrate the connective tissue by using this massage technique. Again, if you find areas that are a little bit tighter, you can kind of pause there and give that area a little more attention. Closing your eyes and just giving yourself that time to bring some health and some ease to that area of tightness. You can't really do this wrong. If you're feeling like, I'm not sure if this is the right spot, just notice the sensations, and feel something is going on, then you're doing it right. Okay. So let's release the arms, rest the hands, the lap, or the knees. Close your eyes or lower your gaze. And feel the waves of releasing. Now, you might notice that your stomach has kind of gotten tight from the lack of activity, particularly the neck area. It's one of these areas that the body wants to protect. And so when we begin to bring attention to the neck and shoulders, oftentimes the body is in kind of protective mode. It doesn't want to go too far. It wants to protect those vital nerves. And so we want to really be super attentive to that, how the breath feels, particularly in the belly. So if you can kind of place your hands on your lower abdomen and just kind of take a full breath. And you want to kind of breathe into your hands, the belly puffs out. When you exhale, everything just subtly draws in on its own. You don't have to force the exhalation. Try that a few more times, taking that full belly breath. Exhaling completely. So we've been sitting for a little bit. You might want now to stretch out your legs. So if you're sitting in a chair, you can stretch out your legs in front of you. If you're sitting on the floor, either way, it's kind of roll around your ankles. Rock your legs so that the movement isn't just your ankles, but the thigh bones are moving in the hip sockets. You can circle the other direction. You might also want to kind of lean back onto your hands and just kind of take a easy back bend. Okay. All right. So come back to an upright sitting position. I'm going a little bit deeper into the shoulders. Taking the right arm across the body. Reaching under and kind of hugging that right arm in. And then a slight rotation of your torso towards your left knee. Then you're going to kind of let your heart area hollow out. So this is a roundness in the upper spine. You don't want to go into a full kind of forward fold here. So it's basically sort of just the upper spine area, and that will release around the back of the shoulder, between the shoulder blade and the center of the spine. Some people like to come into eagle position where you bring your palms together and the elbows are kind of stacked, and you can do the same thing with the eagle position with the arms, but either way works really well. Just kind of letting your head dangle down so the back of the neck releases. And then you can kind of imagine that you can breathe into your right shoulder. When you imagine that, you can breathe, and the breath itself will begin to puff up and stretch the shoulder muscles around that right shoulder area. So that just the breath itself helps to create a deeper, more relaxed stretch. Let's slowly bring ourselves back to an upright position. Rest the hands to a comfortable spot. Just gonna feel the waves of releasing. How's that right shoulder feel? How easy is it to breathe? So the ease of breath sort of reminds us of how we can return to that place of calmness. Just by bringing our attention to breathing, we can decompress and release stressors. All right, so let's take the other arm across the body now, hugging that arm in, rotating a little bit to the right, and then again, it's a slight roundness of the upper spine as the head drops down. And again, here you can take the eagle arm option. So here, the outer upper arm and around the back of the shoulder area, in between the shoulder, the left shoulder blade in the center of the spine. And as you focus on your breathing, you breathe into that left shoulder, like you're breathing into the area underneath your left shoulder blade. You might even try for a moment to deepen the breath more than your normal breath, just to see how that changes things. If you know Ujjayi pranayama, ocean breath, it's a very soft breath, breathing in and out through your nostrils. You can hear your breathing like the sound of an ocean wave. Okay, so let's release that and come back to that centering position of your choice. Just again, feeling the shifting that's occurring. I like to think about yin yoga as sort of like when you're watering your garden and there's kind of a steady stream of water out through your hose. But if you crimp the hose, and it will block the flow of water just for a moment, and then if you release that crimp in the hose, then the water will flush out very vigorously for a moment and then go back to its kind of normal flow. So when we compress the tissues and then release them, there's that kind of flushing out kind of feeling, clearing any stressors, any tensions that might be present. Once again, let's just stretch out the legs to release the legs. Again, you can rock the legs a bit. You also might want to bounce out the knees. Again, it might feel good to do a little bit of a back bend, lifting up through your chest. Okay. All right, so let's take that right arm up and bend the elbow and give yourself a pat on your back. Your left hand can very gently press from the front of the arm, or you might want to pull the point of the elbow back with your left hand. Some of you might want to reach behind you and then hook hands behind your back. Well, either of these three variations works. And then if this causes aggravation to the shoulder joint, if you have a restricted shoulder, bursitis, frozen shoulder, you might want to be really careful to avoid aggravating that. So there should be no fiery or sharp sensations in that right shoulder. And then here, oftentimes people drop their chin down, but instead of that, let's kind of press the head back a little bit so the neck is long. Staying here is perfectly fine. An option is to side bend to your left. It's kind of letting that the front of the armpit on that right shoulder area release. The side waistline release. Again, avoid letting your chin get pressed down into your chest, keeping room between your chin and your chest as if you could place one of those nice navel oranges underneath your chin. Okay, let's come back to center. Now release the arms. Feel the waves of releasing. Notice your breath. I oftentimes mention to students that small things are what really makes a difference in yoga. There's also those kind of really extravagant poses that are fun to do, like handstands and all those kind of arm balances and things that you see in the cover of yoga magazines. Really, the essentialness to yoga is the small movements. We want to be able to hydrate the joints of the body, to notice and be aware of areas that we're holding tension, and to encourage yourselves to continue to explore, to understand how to release those areas, to maintain an overall balance in the body, health and well-being. Let's take the other arm. Bend the elbow, pat yourself on your back. Again, you can press from the front of the arm or pull the point of the elbow back. You can also reach around behind you and hook hands behind your back. Head presses back, the chin is away from the chest. As you're ready, staying as you are with the eyes closed, throat, neck long, throat open. Or taking an easy side bend to your right. There's sort of this goodness of stretching. The body wants to stretch. It wants to release the contracted fascia. It wants to realign, hydrate areas that have been compressed. So we look to that sort of sense of goodness and that how the body is really been needing this kind of thing for a while now, maybe. At first, it might just feel sort of like awkward or new, but after we continue on, we might find that, oh yes, this is exactly what I need to do today for myself. It feels so good. All right, so let's bring yourselves back on up. Release the hands back to the knees, your thighs. Close the eyes. Take a deep breath. Okay, let's stretch out the legs again. Sometimes it feels good to kind of lean back onto your hands, separate the feet apart, nice and wide, and just kind of do a little bit of a rocking movement like a windshield wiper. Moving some of the energy down the legs, the hips, the knees, the ankles, and the feet. Okay. So many students I see often say the neck and shoulders is like the biggest area of their concern, the biggest area that tends to hold tension. And so sometimes we go really too far into it and we kind of exacerbate those areas. So what I'd like you to do now is just see if you can take your hands behind you and interlace the fingers, keeping your elbows bent to start. Lifting up the chest, puffing up the chest. With the chest puffed up, you want to feel like you're kind of spreading and widening your collarbones. So it might be that your hands stay really close or on your low back, or you might decide to kind of pull your arms back further. Some people are able to easily have the elbows straight, but you want to avoid having the shoulders sort of round forward when you're doing this stretch. So if you feel like you're kind of doing this, the shoulders kind of rounded forward, you want to see if you can keep the shoulders back and down. It's actually not depressed, but actually, so the inner shoulder blades, which is kind of in this part of the body, are coming closer together on the back of your body. So when you clasp your hands up behind your back, usually there's, say for me, I always have my left thumb on top of my right thumb. That's your dominant interlace of the fingers. Roll the shoulders back, and again, find the spreading of your collarbones and the stretch in the front of the shoulders, the front of the chest. Choose to adjust the stretch to meet the needs of your shoulders, how tight they are today. And some of you, again, might want to do a little bit of a back bend here. It's kind of like wiggling around a little bit, seeing what feels right for your shoulders and your upper back. Okay, so let's go ahead and release that and just kind of give your arms a shake. You can do a little bit of a kind of a dancey movement, or it doesn't really matter. Just kind of get some movement in your shoulders. I can't see you, so you can do whatever you need to do for yourself here. All right, so we're going to take a shoulder stretch with the other thumb on top, so it's a non-dominant interlace of the fingers. Again, lift the heart up, roll the shoulders back, puff up the chest, spread the collarbones. And then with the other thumb on top, this is going to feel different in the shoulders. You can kind of identify for yourself what that difference is. Let's release that shoulder stretch. And again, kind of do some movement, move around the shoulders. All right. Okay. Lastly, we're going to let the hands rest to the tops of the knees and let the chin drop down into the chest. Now you might decide to just let the head simply rest there. So just the weight of your skull itself creates the stretch in the back of your neck. And then from very slowly, like you are drawing you have a crayon on your chin and you're tracing your collarbones with your chin. I'm going to go towards the right shoulder, drop down, go towards the left shoulder. You can also kind of imagine that you're drawing a smiley face with your chin. Just notice how that feels, the back of the neck, shoulders. Good. If you'd like just a little bit more, you might want to rest one hand on top of the head or both hands on top of the head, but you're not pushing down. You're just letting the weight of your one hand or both hands rest on top of the skull. Here you want to sort of keep the heart area lifted, so it's a stretch for the back of the neck and not the entire spine. Okay, so let's lift slowly the head up, release the arms. Right. Good. Join your hands together at your heart center. I'm grateful for your presence here. I wish you well. Namaste.